do we do? What is happening again? What do we do? How do we streamline ourselves to be perfect while we are growing?
Okay, is there any hope for the common man? Seeing that APC, PDP, I think even LP was present because there was a statement, and it was a gathering. It was a gathering of everybody. In fact, it's more like if you are not there, you are the one who was missing because everybody was there.
It's the ruling class. It's the ruling class.
Is there any hope for the Nigerian common man? Those still with ideology, the people who look up to government for help, true and sincere leadership.
Well, that event does not in any way show that there is hope for the common man. Instead, for those who have the spirit of nationalism, for those who have ideas on how the country can be better, for those who have a lot of plans, you know, to stay back in the country, you know, and see how to improve things, they've rather dampened their spirit, their morale. That's, look, whatever happens to you, these people don't care. They only care about what they are going to take from the table. They only care about what they're going to take from our commonwealth. But I want to tell you that the patience, the long suffering of the common man has a time span. It will come to a time, you know, when the poor, the masses are also going to rise against the ruling class. And they will say enough is enough. And that time is coming in Nigeria if the ruling class don't, you know, check their actions.
Well, I mean, as we close, as we come to a close on this particular topic, how can Nigerians avoid another IBB-ish kind of leader?
So we have to be choosing our leaders democratically. Those who are calling for coup should please stop the call. It should never come again. So while we elect our leaders democratically, we will perfect the system. INEC brought beavers. There was no beavers. There was option A1. That guy, the evil genius, did a lot of things to want to bring democracy to bear. He tried with the election, but he just didn't take the final glory, which was what? To announce Abiola as the winner of the election. So we're growing. If we had done that, if not for Abacha, if Abacha had not come, if Absalom had not come, we would have started our democracy then. And would have grown better, would have improved better. So democracy is still the way for us. We can sit down and do this discussion. I was seeing them as their class at that event. I was a little bit happy that, okay, at least there is unity in this division. There is unity in this division. Yes, they are divided from different political parties. They are divided by ideology, but they can still come together. So if we can all come together, even in division, and build our country, I think that's fair. So in democracy, we will build our country. With our legislators, with our lawmakers, we will build our democracy. You know, I once said, every time we should learn from every error and correct the system. So I think that's what we need to do. Find a way to rejig the system and bring ourselves to bear with what we want as a country. What is the goal of a Nigeria? What is the goal for us as a nation? And how do we want to get there? How do we want to get to that uhuru that we're looking for? So in all our system, in all our development, we have to correct it, and only democracy can help us. Because if we have another tyranny or another dictator now, or another emperor, he will drag us back. Even in our psychology, we won't be able to think right. We are angry now with all he has said because some of us have some facts before us that people died. And you're saying you are the way you're doing it, you're not presenting as if you are that much remorse for this act. You're playing on us. You should be.
So I quickly wanted to say something about, you know, what he said about the event bringing together politicians across party platforms and all of that. For me, there is no significance to that. It is simply Nigerian politicians being politicians. What do we see every day? We see politicians moving from one party to another party. They are not moved by ideologies. It's not about ideas. It's not about the desire to serve the people. It's about interest.
It's about interest. But as at now, yes. While they are moving, they are cross-carpeting. So we can now begin to say, what is the legislation we can put in place to halt cross-carpeting? We are brothers. No matter the differences we have in ideas and situations, we are one Nigerian. We are brothers. So we will not fight and break the country into two. We will say, okay, let's look at this sport and recook this system so that we can stand. If you are now a PDP person, if you want to move away from PDP to APC, drop your post, drop this, drop that, then move, go and start it afresh. So we begin to put legislation in place to guide our growth and our rulership system. We wouldn't say because we are moving, we should kill you. No.
I think you are agreeing that a democracy, regardless of how slow it may be, will eventually lead us.
It will lead us to the place where we're going to.
Lastly, the family that has spoken the most on this issue, son speaking, daughter speaking, everybody speaking, is not even the Abiola family, but the Abacha family. They have about 3 or 4 of their representatives who have come out at various times to say no, cryptic messages on social media. The family is really bouncing back. You know, I don't think many Nigerians have kind words for late General Abacha himself. But somehow his family have been the most antagonistic of what happened last week Thursday. How can we just oppose both men and their regimes?
Well, they are best of the same. They are just in the same category. Well, maybe why you see them reacting, you know, and speaking and saying all sorts of things is because they feel betrayed. They feel like, man, you are not better than our father. Even though I think in the estimation of the Nigerians, their father is worse. You understand? So, but they feel betrayed that you should not be speaking ill of our father. You should not be saying all of these things about our father and putting the blame for the annulment of June 12 on our father. You understand? So I think that is why they are more vocal and they feel betrayed. But you see, nobody should be surprised. I'm surprised that the Abacha family is surprised. And the reason is, you know, from what we can see, even in his book, he is a serial betrayer. He betrayed Vatsa, his childhood friend. His childhood friend. He promulgated the decree that was used in executing that man. He betrayed Abiola. Abiola was his friend. They were close. So if he betrayed Abacha after his death, nobody should be surprised. It's just in his nature. It's just in his character. He's a man who is, you know, power hungry. You know, if you check his records, his history. One of the politicians, I think I can't remember the name now, said there was a prophecy that Babangida was going to become president. So he was desperately working towards the fulfillment of the prophecy. And he was ready to crush anybody that was standing in his way, including his friends, his family, anybody. So I'm surprised that, you know, Abacha family is saying all of this. And maybe if we had a book also written by Abacha, we would have
before you close it, Abacha and IBP were close friends. So the run-ins in the government were between the two of them. How they put out Buhari out of the government was also between the two of them. So there is an agreement. Him saying Abacha is at fault. There's an agreement between the two of them that, look, I will relinquish power to you. And they know that was why they brought in Shoneko. As government, so that Shoneko will come and take over. And after that, I think they wanted to play game. But somewhere along the line within the system, Absalam was smarter to look, let's douse the tension and let's bring in the democracy that is supposed to be. And that's how we should go. We will make mistakes, but we will correct.
Absalam was not greedy.
I'm not saying we should be thankful that we had somebody that at least, look, let's move forward.
If he didn't want to relinquish power,
they won't. Those boys, their passion then was to what? Was to remain in power.
Okay. All right, we have to go on now. This is a topic that, you know, we've been looking at from all corners, all angles, even our front pages. It's been there for, you know, for a while now in the last few days. Very quickly, we have to move on to the next topic. Yesterday, the Dangote refinery announced that they were removing 65 naira, reducing their PMS by 65 naira from 890 minus 65, and now you are going to be paying 65 naira less if you are going to be buying. Picking your PMS from the Dangote refinery. Of course, we know they use the MRS station. And that singular action of theirs, remember, this is the second reduction in just a couple of weeks. That singular act have, you know, brought cheers from certain aspects from the Nigerian people on social media. Many persons are happy. And it has brought tears in some other camp. That is because importers are now complaining that they've had to, the fuel, the PMS that they brought in, that was imported, who will now buy it? How are they going to get their things done? And, you know, it's a really big issue. I'll be starting with you, Mr. Ali, because we've been on this issue for a couple of weeks now. When they last reduced, immediately NNPC, you know, also said a couple of things and all of that. But it looks like, in fact, there's this theory on social media, I don't know how true, that when you buy PMS coming from Dangote's own pot.
It serves you longer than
when you buy from
NNPC. And NNPC has the bong that to say, look, we buy from
really
both places.
Of a guy who bought petrol from NNPC and equally bought from MRS. Got a brand new. I passed my neighbor generator that the one we call the local balance, and that one stayed. The one for MRS stayed for about 30 or 40 minutes longer than
the NNPC
when the one from the NNPC had died down. So they had to come back from that. But one thing about a bad social media negative view is that coming back from that may be a little bit difficult. And now Dangote is doing everything right according to people. But now this is the issue: the regulation of the downstream sector. The president removed subsidy on the first, on his first day in office, last 2020, now 2 years ago. And then the belief is that when market forces apply, if it goes up on the international market, it must go up locally. If it goes down on the international market, it must go down locally.
Yes.
The same question I asked you then, I think I'll put it to you again. Obviously, it has gone down on the international market level. And Dangote is applying that.
Yeah.
Why is that difficult for the NNPC to do?
I don't know why you are still asking that question again. But this, like I said before, NNPC is still looking at his own production costs. NNPC is still considering his own. Dangote has considered his and he's saying, I'm going to go down. And if you also notice, recently the Zimbabwe Prime Minister came to visit. So he wants to play it according to the international market. So that when the price goes up and is increasing, we won't complain. So what I'm praying for is that to see the reflection in the economy or in those who are buying from Dangote, look, okay, as Dangote is reducing, we are also reducing prices of goods and services that we use fuel for. If it can show in the economy, I will be glad. But for the NNPC, I don't know why the NNPC has not reduced their own price.
Okay, editor, sir, why is NNPC not reducing according to the international standard? Dangote increased last December, and we were talking about it, but they reduced three times this year. Twice in the last 2 or 3 weeks.
That's true.
So if they are following that standard, why is the local, the supposed Nigerian oil, why are we not following that standard since subsidy is gone, like the president said?
Well, I think that question is best directed at NNPCL because they should be able to explain why, they are not conforming. I mean, it's a competition, and Dangote, just like you rightly pointed out, started the whole reduction thing in December when he reduced the price of fuel by 70 naira, and then in February he first reduced it by 65 naira, and then now by 60 naira.
Yeah. 65 naira.
Okay, first reduced by 60 naira, and then now 65 naira. So, and this reduction, because people always want to, motorists will always want to buy where fuel is cheaper, and then now with the issue of quality of fuel, which is in contention with all the videos that we are seeing and everything. So that is why you now have a lot of motorists, trooping to the MRS filling stations and the other filling stations that are buying, that are in partnership with Dangote. So NNPC, there is no reason why NNPC should not review their prices downward. So I guess maybe they are still waiting for a directive from somebody somewhere, before they do.
No. We have to regulate it, so they shouldn't be expecting any directive from anywhere.
It should come naturally.
They are on their own. The president has said he's not involved in their price determination, that they should do their thing themselves. So I'm expecting them to tell us why they are not reducing their price.
They are
I don't know why.
They are most likely not going to, because the last time there was a drop in the price of petrol from the NNPC filling station, it was through one of the organizations that we got to know, Petrol. It was Petrol that was speaking. I was saying that the prices of petrol at NNPC filling stations we are going to drop. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it's quite unfortunate, and I don't know what is going on, but they will be in the best position to tell us.
Is there a possibility that during the days of subsidy, when Nigerians didn't exactly understand the intricacies of this particular matter, because as at then you just go in, buy your 65 naira, and then I think it became 200 or something at some point, and you go home. Is there a possibility that things like this had been going on because it was a government handled it was a government-handled sector.
So they were able to increase the price because they were telling us that look, what they were buying or what they were referring at the international market price was making them to increase the price. Because if you go and check the books from the beginning of 1960, fuel price started from 3 kobo and up to now it's going higher. So I don't understand the intricacy between NNPC and government when they were in government. So, but we've seen price rise based on the fact that say the importation, landing cost is high, dollar price. So those were the basis for increase in price then. Now, the base for reduction is that look, the crude market price has dropped. Let them drop price too at home. Let the NBC too let the people feel that look, we are operating an international market, and that's what I think they should be doing, because in the long run, they like it or not, they will compete with the likes of giants like the Boas and Dangote, and the NBC must compete effectively. I told last, I said, look, if they are not reducing reducing their own prices now, there is no price slash, they are going to be losing customer more. But because we still don't have enough people on ground that are owning refineries and bringing out fuel much, the commission is still not as great as it should be. Okay. But I think they need to cut down price.
Is there a possibility? Is there a possibility that in the days when the federal government used to pay subsidies and the price of crude went down on the international market, of course, that would definitely affect PMS. That the same amount that was still paid for expensive PMS or expensive, all of them down. Is there a possibility that several millions and probably even billions had been siphoned using that strategy of keeping it at that same amount, despite the fact that the amount they were buying it on the international scene had dropped?
There is a possibility because NNPC did not have any competition. There was no competition, sort of. They were operating and they were it was a monopoly.
Monopolistic, yes.
They were in charge. They were dictating the prices, everything. Everybody, you have no option. As long as you have a car or you have a generator and you have to fuel, you must buy at the price they are giving us. But now that there is competition, there is Dangote. We can compare prices. We can see what is going on. I think with time, there will be more transparency in that sector for people to know what is going on. Because the way the NNPCL is being run is, there have been a lot of committees set up, inviting them to give account of certain, the way they are spending their money. But it's like they are not accountable. They are not responsible to anybody.
Let me, sorry for confusion. There was a time Jonathan imported fuel into this country for the poor people to be sold at 15 naira. And somebody got it and sold at 150 naira. I remember I had to leave where I was working before to go to somewhere close to the beggar to buy that fuel at a special ticket given to me for 15 naira. But when I saw how much others were buying for 150 naira for kerosene.
You can imagine.
So you can't remove that. There is the possibility of NNPC then being fraudulent to the people. I also remember being at a depot once, somewhere in Ejigbo once, and you will see the director or the manager of the depot owning like 60 trucks for himself that is going to take and resell.
Wow. So should Nigerians be grateful to, still sticking with you, should Nigerians be grateful to President Tinubu for removing subsidy on day one and allowing fair play? Take charge. At least there's competition and there will be more. I think Boa will be coming up. What's it called?
Refinery
will be coming up soon.
And more competition.
Nigerians who have the capacity and capability should probably join in. Who knows? Maybe it's something for line refinery. Maybe any of these days. Who knows? But should we be thankful to the president for making this happen?
I think what is happening is just the deregulation of the downstream sector. That is what is playing out. It is not about the removal of the subsidy on the first day of Tinubu's administration. In fact, I have always been critical of that decision, and I'm still critical of it because most of the economic challenges that we're having now is actually down to that decision. It was a decision that was taken without much thought. It was a decision that was taken without, there was nothing to cushion the effect of it. And, the economy is still suffering as far as I'm concerned, from the effect of that decision of that day. It did not only remove fuel subsidy, it also floated the naira. Twin policy decisions that should have been taken with a lot of, consideration to how it will affect the common people. You know, so for me, it's not about, you know, the removal of the fuel subsidy on the one. And of course, the removal of the fuel subsidy is a necessity for us. It is necessity. It's a necessity for, you know, our economy. But the way it was taken, it was a rash decision, as far as I'm concerned.
Do you think we should be grateful to the president for allowing this open deregulation despite the pain? So do you agree? The president,
when they gathered for IBB, they gathered. For removal of subsidy, they've been doing it long. Not he just came and concluded it. He just finished it up. It has been there. That's why you see those price rise every time they increase price. It's because they want to take away subsidy. I remember the last time Babangida did. He took it close to. I can't remember the appropriate price any longer. But he was going to remove it. But you talk about that inflation again and the increase in price of the oil at the oil market also brought it higher again. So they've been trying to remove it long, because that was why we're having continuous, persistent fuel shortage in the country because of the removal of subsidy. Buhari didn't include subsidy in the budget.
If President Tinubu wanted to bring it on board, he could have.
Every politician that was even contesting with Tinubu agreed that they were going to remove subsidy. So it's not about him being praised. It's been written. They know. See, I always tell about saying, look, there's a central map that these guys have written that we don't know. We think it's political. They will come and follow it. Be it PDP, APC, MMS, GGG. They will follow it because they say that that's where now the government says they have enough money to spend. So they are delighted to have that. That's the kind of way they want to operate.
All right, we have to move on to the last topic of the day now. Earlier this week, former governor of Kaduna State, Malam Nasir El-Rufai, announced on his formerly Twitter handle saying that he was going to be having a press conference. Sorry, he was going to be having an interview with a particular TV station, which he did by the close of work that day, late into the night, and the next morning, the issue had blown up everywhere. Attacks from members of his party, support from members of the opposition, and he said quite a whole lot. He had, made certain statements, didn't agree with the policies of the president as it concerns reformation, but didn't agree with the pattern in which the whole thing was going.
So the sequence
was completely against the current Kaduna State governor, and he felt he was attacking him, and he felt he was, he was having a bromance with one of the appointees of the Nigerian president, and that together they were doing an anti-El-Rufai policy. He said a whole lot of things. He also said that there was no internal democracy within his party, the All Progressives Congress, and he made one point clear, that he was never, ever going back to the PDP, regardless of if he left APC or not. I'll be starting with you now, Mr. Liu. The APC, Governor Uzodinma answered questions yesterday at the Garden of APC stalwarts, and he didn't mention names, but he was firing bullets. Looked more like he was answering questions, but throwing shades as well at former governor of Kaduna, Nasir El-Rufai. El-Rufai equally has some people on his side. Some stakeholders in Kaduna have come up to say, we are supporting Ubasani, we are supporting Tinubu for second term. The politics have begun.
See, that's just what he said. The politics has begun. So how would El-Rufai come back into relevancy if he's not talking? If he's not shading them one way or the other? So he has to do all these statements, all these stories to bring himself back to the forefront of being able to do one bargain or the other. He said the NAS did not rejected his ministerial nomination. It was the president that rejected. So he's just saying that, look, boss, you said you would make me minister. You've not yet made me minister in a way. He's just ringing the bell again. Like, look, I still want to be the minister. Though he said he had been minister before, he had enjoyed this agenda that he wanted to correct, that he said he should come and correct the power sector. And the power sector is still not good. I can still correct it. That's what he's saying now. Please bring me on board.
What could have caused the rift between a strong Tinubu supporter pre-2023 election and then a strong anti-Tinubu, or should I say, if it's not particularly anti-Tinubu, anti-government person now post-leaving position as governor? And
who are you referring to? Okay. For me, I think every party in Nigeria needs an El-Rufai because he has been critical of the APC. He has also been critical of this government. And in 2 years, the APC has never had their neck they've not had their meeting, the meeting of their top leaders. And because of El-Rufai's criticism, they had one.
Well, was it because of El-Rufai?
I think so. I believe so because it was not long after this event where you had El-Rufai, Amechi, and I think Atiku, speaking about the ills in the APC. That they eventually decided to have that neck. So you need somebody like that, somebody that can be a check on the system. He's an insider. He knows what is going on. Of course, you had the presidency, attacking all these people who are always speaking against the APC, OB, and all of that, But this is an insider who knows the running of this party, who was part of the formation of this party. So we need somebody like that to put a check on the APC and to tell them that you are not doing well in these areas, and then they are adjusting. I also feel that Tinubu has a lot of respect for El-Rufai.
Yeah. His birthday greetings.
Yes, his birthday greetings. In fact, I saw a video recently where he was saying that he was not going to leave the stage until El-Rufai promised not to leave the country.
Yeah.
And then the guy went to the
when the going was good.
When I promised that he was not going to. So they still have a good relationship outside of politics. But when it comes to politics, I think El-Rufai has a stand, and that is that the Norths are not getting a fair share of these governments. And he's also talking about the way the president has turned Abuja to a meeting point for his Lagos boys. And all of that. So he's critical of these things, and we cannot see. He's telling the truth.
But isn't it
wrong?
Isn't it wrong to do that?
Motivation, is another thing entirely. Just like in Dume. Dume is also critical, saying all sorts of things, because he feels that his people are marginalized, because he feels that his people are not being taken care of, are not being well taken care of by this administration.
Is the anti-government stance fueled by the fact that security, according to reports now, then security reports were against him and he couldn't become minister? Is he saying all of this because he's not the favorite, or he was not the favorite at the time?
I don't want him to see himself. I don't want him to see himself as the best or one of the best that can be among the best. We have a lot of eggheads that can do this work. So if you're not there, don't say because you're not there you don't work. He's going. The work in the presidency is going. The work in all the ministries are going on fine. There are 1,000,001 Nigerians that can do better than El-Rufai.
Do you think he's doing all this noise in quotes now? Noise in quotes. Because he was not in the government.
I don't want to say because he was not in the government. He has enjoyed his fair share of governance. But again, this is it. You want more. Oliver Twist is always wanting more. He could be having the ambition to become the president. He wants to be relevant. He has to be relevant. He has boys behind him. He has those he's working for. One of my greatest surprise when I saw the interview he had, or the I don't know how to use this word now. Him and the current governor of Kaduna State, while he was handing over. If you see the testimony Ubasani gave about El-Rufai, you will be so amazed that these guys, they will work together. There won't be any quarrel. But here you are. There's a fracas between the two of them. So it can happen. But while it's happening, El-Rufai has his own boys behind him. There are those who are looking up to him and like, okay, we have to press button and tell people that, look, we are here, we are still relevant. We can still turn this against you if you don't correct the ills now. So I think for me, it's a button push that, look, President, there is danger, there is problem on the way. The election is coming in the next 2 years now. We have to realign, or else this agreement has to be rewritten. The boys are hungry. He's complaining about Lagos boys. His own northern boys. His own other boys too are hungry, so he wants them somewhere in the system.
He rounded up that interview by saying what many people are taught in their heads, but eventually expressed it with his mouth. That the real battle was for 6 years. Is for 6 years from now, the 2031 elections, because we are not even in 2027 year, but. And he made mention of his one-time friend. Actually, they used to be very close friends. I mean, from all indications, the National Security Advisor, Malam Nuhu Ribadu. Of course, Ribadu
debunked,
made a statement as well. But these guys are actually very close. I mean, reports have it that they were even family friends and all of that. I mean, is there a possibility that the future of Nigeria, as far as the next president, or should I say the next dispensation, the northern dispensation according to unsigned agreements, is that the reason why there's so much... is this the beginning of the fracas that we have to see in the next few years?
For me, I think it's more about 2027 than 2031.
Okay.
It's more about, trying, just like he said, to put yourself in a position where, by the time the sharing
Coming
starts,
back.
by the time the sharing starts, you're going to get, a large chunk, of the pie. So 2031 is still far away, and just like Nuri Badu said, I don't think we should in any way be talking about it. If there will be any conversation around 2031, it should be among themselves. They should be discussing it. They should not even bring Nigerians into it, because even we are not. I mean, this administration is still just
young.
So you see, in all of these, you can see that it's about grabbing power. These politicians are just interested in how they are going to grab power, how they are going to make plans for their family, for their generation and generation unborn, just to secure the future for their family. It's not about Nigerians. And so that is why I think Nigerians should ignore some of these talks and let's concentrate on governance. Let's talk about what the government is doing right and what they are doing wrong, and let's put their feet to the furnace. Let's criticize them where they're wrong, and let's ignore some of these talks about 2031 that is still very far away. It's 6 years away. So it's unfortunate, but it also shows what is in their mind, what they're thinking. So it's that's the situation.
All right. I mean, we always promise you here robust analysis, looking at these 3 topics that we bring to you weekly from various lenses, different angles, and we present the truth before you, our audience. Unfortunately, this is where we are going to be drawing the curtain for this week's episode of the Roundtable. I'm going to be here next week again with 3 interesting topics on the burner again, and they'll be analyzing it from various angles. A very big thank you to the editor at the Punch Weekend. Like I said earlier, whenever you're reading the newspaper on Saturdays and Sundays in your homes, in your bedrooms, this
online.
Is yes, online, of course, online as well. Whatever happens that period, this is the man in charge. A very big thank you once again,
Thank you,
Mr. Samson
Shegun.
Folarin. A very big thank you to our usual. At this rate, I think we are already in love with the way you come to us with some of these facts and analysis. But the biggest thanks goes to you out there, our viewer, because like I always say, we are here because you are there. The weekend begins tomorrow. It's a special weekend, a weekend that leads into the month, a new month of March. Beware of the height of March, says Shakespeare. A new month, a new beginning next week. And to our Muslim viewers, our Muslim faithfuls, Ramadan is fast approaching. May the good Lord help us all. Stay out of trouble, guys. We'll see you next week. My name is Shegun, and I say have yourselves a fantastic and wonderful weekend. Bye for now.